One of the biggest issues that New York City's been facing for a long time now would have to be affordability. See, New York City's been one of the most expensive cities in the country and in the world for a long time. And because of that, rents are soaring high. Some people are paying as much as $2,500, $3,500, even $4,500 for an apartment. And then you also have the cost of childcare, the cost of healthcare, the cost of transportation, the cost of food and groceries, and it all just adds up, even for middle class New Yorkers. Now, with all these factors making New York City one of the most expensive cities to live, the candidates are focusing on one specific factor: housing costs. Housing costs could be anything from how much your rent costs to how much it may be to buy a home in New York City, and both those things are incredibly expensive, and it's a large reason why a lot of people and families end up leaving the city. So Mamdani plans to do it in two big ways: of freezing the rent for people who are living in apartments that may not be able to afford those rent increases every single year, people who might not be earning more every single year to be able to afford higher rents, while also building the amount of storage we do have of affordable housing and of public housing. And yes, New York City gets a lot of construction, but it mostly relies on private developers who have shown that they failed their city, and that this city must rely on its own construction if it wants to meet the demands of the people. Now, if you compare this platform to Andrew Cuomo, who's offering the usual ideas about cutting regulations and giving tax breaks to encourage development, but those are the same policies that actually led New York City to being in this same position. You see, cutting down regulation and giving more tax breaks to real estate investors does not actually always encourage development. And a lot of times what happens is you only get a very minimal amount of public housing or affordable housing. This is a strategy we've seen time and time again, where people think that deregulating real estate is actually going to encourage development and make it easier for people to afford living. It does not do that. And now finally, you have Sliwa, the Republican, who says he wants to limit property tax increases, which might help homeowners but does very little for the millions of people who are renting an apartment in New York City. Which might help homeowners, but it does very little for the millions of renters in New York City, and it does very little to actually build new housing. So right now, if you had to ask me, Mamdani's platform of freezing the rent and also building new homes sounds way better than Cuomo's deregulation or Sliwa's attempt to limit property tax increases. We're way better off putting our faith in Mamdani making New York City more affordable, making the rent more affordable than we are with Cuomo or with Sliwa.